I did wanted to bring this topic up, but there was so much football that we couldn't keep up with everything. And then we just needed a break, I think, after the World Cup. Why did you think of all these recent transfers of young players going to Saudi Arabia and the MLS? I think a lot of people are praising it, or maybe just the internet. Maybe not people, but the internet. Because in my eyes, I'm like, this is not good for football. It's good for the Saudi Arabian League or the team in particular. Same for the MLS. But I'm like, top players leaving Europe is not good for football, personally.
Do you know the only thing that it's good for, bro? Their bank accounts.
That's true.
That's it. They're young. It's not good for their career.
A-
For football, it's not good for football.
And what I mean by football, to give people more context. For example, Rodrigo De Paul, right? He's young. He's not like old. And what I mean that this doesn't bet in their career, it also doesn't bet for the national team because they're no longer competing at the highest level. So imagine playing in the MLS and then going to Argentina to face Brazil, the Netherlands, Germany, even Colombia. I mean, and you all saw, right, when Messi went to MLS and then went back to play Argentina, like his level went way low, and he's never been able to catch up stamina wise with Argentina. MLS is fine.
He's tearing it up in the MLS, but the standards are just like so different that let's say you're coming from Europe and you're playing at a high level, high standard, and then you go to the MLS. I'm not trying to bag on the MLS, but I mean, we can all be honest here. The standard of the MLS is not the same. And let's say they're not gonna keep the standard of what they used to have at the MLS like
And
consistently throughout their contract because of course they're gonna like I don't know how to explain it, but
no, it makes sense. And also it's more like Son, Mueller, those make sense, right? And even we could argue that Son could have done one more year in Europe or two, but he's also at an age where he could technically leave to another league. Thomas Mueller makes sense. When
definitely.
Messi left, kind of makes sense too. But then the other ones who are just leaving, who was the young ones that went to Saudi Arabia and the young ones who went, well, Rodrigo De Paul's the one that comes to mind in the MLS.
João Felix.
Yao Felix. There was another young one, I think, that left to Al Hilal. See, like Inigo Martinez, he makes sense. He's 34. That one is just like, hey, get your money because we don't know how much playtime you're gonna have anymore.
And even then, a lot of Barca fans were sad because they're like, oh, we lost our rock in defense from last.
Hmm.
For the young players, they're wasting their career.
Yeah, so the ones who have left so far, it started with Sadio Mane, John Wise, Firmino, Mahrez, and then I think Fabinho went there too.
There we go. Darwin Nunes.
Oh yeah, that's the one. I was like, I know someone other big left, and he was hella young.
Al Hilal recently bought Darwin Nunes.
And then before that, who was the other one who left last year? Joao Cancelo, and he was not like he was a great player. He was not like those like, oh, we better have him on our team. But he still had pretty good years to be in Europe. Also Mendy, there was Neves, Koulibaly. See, the only ones that made sense that left, Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, Neymar. Then when Sadio Mane left, I was like, what?
Saudi Arabia is doing good stuff
Yeah,
to get players like those, even the young ones.
yeah. I don't know. It's just to me just said when like young talent leaves to those leagues. For example, Ricky Puig left to LA Galaxy, but he wasn't even a starter at Barca. And it was like once in a blue moon that happens. But now it's just like more and more players are leaving.
Even him, I was disappointed though. He has
Yeah.
talent and he's young, or he was young, he's still young. And you can see when he plays in the MLS, this is easy for him.
Yeah, and he would have stayed at Spain. He would have forced him to be better and he could have been at the national team. He moving to the MLS, probably he's never gonna get called to Spain, right?
Or at least he could go to another team, like a mid-table team, if he can't start at Barca. Or a lot of players go to Real Sociedad. I don't know, Valencia.
See, for example, to the Liga MX too, I think most players who left there were old. Maybe Angel Correa was a little bit on the younger side. Or are we onto something here too, where it's almost like it's going back in time. Remember back in the day when a player hit 29, 30, 31, it was like, oh, they're old, they're gonna retire soon. And then it came the era of Messi and Ronaldo, Robin, Ribery, that whole era. And then now players started lasting until 35, 37 at the top of the leagues. And then COVID hit, I think it was 2022, 2023 when it started. The players started leaving at younger and younger again. And this just proves, and maybe also just proves that, to be at the top, you have to be disciplined, and it's also not for everyone. So, we got to praise Messi, Ronaldo, Robin, Ribery, Zlatan. And right now, Salah, I do appreciate Salah staying at Liverpool and playing at the highest level. And I argue that he's probably the best Premier League player of all time that I've seen because he stayed there, right? For example, Ronaldo was there, best player of the world for many years, but he didn't stay in the Premier League, right? So it's not saying any of that, but I think that have stayed there. I haven't seen someone as consistent every year as Salah at the Premier League. Or I guess the only one that it would be hard to compare with would be Thierry Henry
Yeah.
that I remember.
What makes sense is Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, definitely Luis Suarez.
And he's killing it. He's in one leg.
But does that tell you the level of football in MLS?
Yeah, I mean it
He
does.
literally said he's on one leg and he's killing it.
Well, last year he was killing it. Right now he's semi-killing. And to put into perspective, Messi doesn't play the best every game, but he has a big impact regardless.
He's killing it.
No, no, I mean like playing style wise, right? Like his individual performances because he scores a goal and assists, obviously is great. But like the whole game, 90 minutes, I don't think to me it's great, right? In all the games. I think he has 19 games that he has played only in the MLS, not counting the other competitions. He's been injured many times, missed many games, and I think most other players are up to 27 games. And Messi already has like the most goals, and if you combine assists, he's only like one goals and assists below the eighth player with 30 plus goals and assists, and he's played 27 games, and Messi 17 or 19.
And he's on 1.5 legs.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
It could be good for the MLS in Saudi Arabia. My only caveat is they're only going to two teams. They're not going to all the teams. I think the MLS is better at that just because they have a market cap, how much they team could spend for transfers. So it forces big players to go to different teams. But most of them are older there, like Mueller, Son, and before Zlatan, right? They were all moving to different teams and they're still doing it, but those are older players.
Earthquakes, we're still waiting on you.
Earthquakes, how can you guys don't get any players? Anyways, that's a little bit about football rant and transfers to MLS and Saudi Arabia. Personally, I don't think it's good for football, but whatever.